confirmed to make sure that it is not an April Fool's joke. According to Adam Schefter, 6-time Pro Bowl defensive lineman Calais Campbell is finalizing a 1-year deal to return to the Arizona Cardinals.
All right.
Oh, my goodness.
Well, welcome back, Calais Campbell. Welcome to the defensive line rotation. 39 years old?
Wow.
39, I believe, for Calais Campbell as he comes back to the team that once upon a time, we'll talk about the Suns in a second. This is a little more interesting right now. Once upon a time, I remember you and I doing this show, and we played a cut from some behind-the-scenes video that some documentary had shot of Calais Campbell as he was pondering whether he wanted to leave the Cardinals or not.
Right.
And he had this offer on the table. What was it, from the Jacksonville Jaguars? And he says to his agent, well, can't we call Arizona to see if they want to match it? And the agent's like, they don't want to match it.
They don't want to match it.
They don't want to. Are you sure? Should we call them? Calais, they don't want to match it. They're good. Now, that was forever ago. But I'll have to look it up to be sure.
Calais is back.
39 years of age, Calais Campbell is coming back to the Arizona Cardinals.
Wow. I just sent him a text.
Did you? Good.
Yeah.
Please tell him congratulations.
Man, this one hurt me, man. I'm not even gonna lie to y'all, man. I've been thinking about this one ever since it happened. You know, right now we only have Zach Sealer in the room. I don't know how you guys feel about Benito Jones, but I don't think that will be enough. Y'all let me know y'all opinions about Calais leaving.
I don't know how you feel about cussing on your page, but that's all this move makes me want to do is cuss. I just want, it makes me want to blow my top. You know, it's not even the fact that Calais decided to leave. You know, I think he could have did us. He could have been better about it. He could have let us know earlier that he was leaning towards leaving, you know, before all the decent free agent defensive tackles were off the board. But I think the bigger issue here is that Chris Grier put all his eggs in one basket, and that basket is a 39-year-old player that can only play partial time. And if we weren't able to sign him, which we weren't able to, we were left with nothing. We were left with absolutely nothing. And I think that's the bigger issue here, is that Chris Grier is so cocky and confident that he thinks he has the answers to everything, that he's unwilling to have backup plans. The re-signing of Liam Eichenberg, the reluctancy to move on from players that he's drafted and that don't work out. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And it's continued over and over and over, his ignorance, and it's really depressing as a Dolphin fan. It's depressing. I stick up for Stephen Ross all the time because I don't think Stephen Ross is that bad of an owner. You know, he's willing to open his checkbook and pay for players. He's willing to do he was trying to tank. He was trying to do secret meetings with Tom Brady on boats and stuff. he was willing to do the stuff needed to win, except fire Chris Grier.
And it kind of backfired too, as typical Dolphin fashion for us. We get the left stick at the end, sadly, but you know, they took our draft picks away, like you mentioning with the boat incident. But to piggyback what you just stated, man, I think right there, how Calais Campbell kind of did us a little bit dirty, because you made us wait this long for your decision when you were squandering the opportunity of saying, I'm going to retire. And I think all of us here on the panel can agree on one thing. This NFL draft, you better hit on all these draft picks. You got 10 of them. You can accumulate maybe some other trades, move on up, and find your Kenneth Grant. People have been talking about him. There's Thomas from other places. Oklahoma's got a lot of players. So you better draft 2 defensive tackles is what I'm saying, traditionally speaking, somewhere in those rounds, either early round or late round. Because I do agree with you, man. Chris Grier has been known to squander that opportunity in the NFL draft. This is it for him. I mean, you got to make sure you find that young replacement. But you know who benefited the most? Zach Sealer. I think that team captain leadership, that mentality of winning and being a vocal leader that we missed from Christian Wilkins last season and departed to the Raiders. Same thing goes with Campbell. That goes with Zach Sealer. People are going to be sleeping on my guy, Zach, but that's okay. They're going to find out that he's going to be that vocal leader that we desperately need. And whoever you draft at the defensive lineman is going to benefit tremendously well from that. What's going on, Otto? I see my best friend in the chat. What's going on, bro?
Shout out to Otto. But yeah, man, off of what you said, Ice, man, it just it feels like, I don't know. I feel like Calais Campbell chased the bag.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like he probably had better options out there, but based off of winning. But he's like, man, I want to get this last check right before I leave.
Yeah.
So I don't mind going back to my old team, finishing where it started.
That's okay. I mean, I'll give him that. You deserve it for how you've been playing, especially with us. I kind of understand. A lot of fans disgruntled in that point, but yeah, man.
He didn't get a crazy amount of money though. Why didn't we match that? Why are we not matching that offer?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe
I don't really know in regards to why we ain't matched the offer. I think if we had a little bit more money, if we had more confidence in our starting quarterback and not so much money being allocated towards our starting quarterback, I feel like there would have been more money in the salary cap to try to retain a talent like Calais Campbell. But since we got two and all these players that's eating up on the cap space, we're trying to be cheap. And Calais Campbell, he gonna come at a cost. Came off a very good year, even at his age. So teams are really, vying for his services because of what he did last year. Even though he's that age, he did perform better than some rookies. Some of the best D tackles in the league. In my opinion, he came in, he was just as good or better than Christian Wilkins was for us with Zach Sealer in that pairing last year.
Well, I mean, he's only getting $5.5 million plus incentive laced contract. That's not nothing. That's nothing. We have that, and nobody wants to rework to his contract, which I understand and I get. But there's other ways that we can come up with some money. They can turn Jordan Brooks's contract into a signing bonus. That's $7 million. We can give Zach Sealer a contract extension. That saves us another 6, 7, and what we got 16 to 21 million, depending on where you look and what numbers you believe. We had plenty of money to bring Calais Campbell back. So it's unacceptable.
I do think they're going to take that youth department, though. You know what I'm saying? They kind of copy those Packers, Chiefs, Eagles. I'd look at Nolan Smith. That's a prime example of how Jalen Carter fell, an injury-prone player in college, but great, talented player, fell to them like that. I hope that we are taking that next stride into the youth department on the defensive line, because right now it's really bleak on that side. I get it, but
you don't have no choice but to go that way. That direction. There's nobody else.
But let me ask you though: do you also go to the interior of the right guard position and also sticking with Aaron Brewer at center? Because that's
the problem is that we have all these holes that it's impossible to. We're not going to go get 10 starters. What I mean? We're not. We'll be lucky with Chris Greer drafting to walk away with two, maybe three. Three.
I get that. I feel it. If you can get 3 out of the 10, I'll take it. But
I say screw them later round picks. Any way that we can move up with our first four picks, I'm trying to do that.
And you know how you just mentioned, bro, how the contract restructures and Jordan Brooks and things of that nature. Do you think that Tyreek Hill, let's be honest with each other, should Tyreek Hill restructure that as well? The salary cap, he'll save us literally $28 million next year. Literally, off the savings book. After post-June, after the post-June.
I don't think they're trying to do anything with Tyreek's contract because they don't want to be obligated to him at all next year. They want to just be able to say, see you later,
right.
Or if he performs overly well and keeps his nose clean, listen, you want some more guaranteed money, we're going to rip up this contract and get a new one going.
I see it. I get it.
But yeah, man, let me get to some of the comments. Appreciate everybody who pulled up. Theodore, he said 2023 was the year Miami should have retooled last year. Now we are a non-playoff team that will need to rebuild next year. It sounds like Theodore got like a lot of confidence in this team right now. You know what I'm saying? Like it.
No.
I'm sorry. Greer is not the only problem. It's the dysfunctional front office, starting with Stephen Ross. Okay. Crazy Dolphin, he's speaking, he's talking facts. Why wouldn't a player with a limited career chase the bag? You know, it gets to a certain point. What's more important to you, the bag or a ring? You know, I thought a ring was more important to Calais Campbell.
I thought so
Uh,
too.
yeah, because he played so long, he already made a lot of money throughout his whole career. So I thought he would chase a ring, even though most likely a ring would have came from Miami. But still, though, if he had went to the Ravens, okay, I understand. Like if he go to the Ravens, they're probably gonna go to the Super Bowl if he went there. If he went to the Commanders, they would probably won the Super Bowl if he went there. Cardinals, I don't know what they got over there that he's so infatuated in regards to going over there, and he think that they could do something big, you know. But I think it's more so the fact of that's his old team. You know, he want to finish where he started,
That's
and
fine. I mean, he
yeah,
deserves it. You know, he knows he's not going to win there, but hey,
Mhm.
he's done it all. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer. I will give him his kudos. Uh, but look what Mr. Park said. Mr. Park said it earlier, bro. Greer, it's not Greer. It's Tom Garfinkel. That's the dude. That's the one that we got to start actually asking. Hey, can you restructure some of these guys? Can you do something to help us for the future, bro? I mean, next year is going to hit even more if we keep this up. If we're 7 wins at best,
Mhm.
oh my gosh, the Dolphin fans are going to go crazy. I could already see it now. Oh
You
my
know,
God, it's going to be a mutiny.
I think Stephen Ross got handcuffs on the front office and everybody to make sure they're not spending too much money, because I feel like Stephen Ross let Chris Greer go crazy the other year, spending here to there.
He's
Like,
like, do it. Go ahead. I don't care.
yeah, obviously you showed me that I can't trust you with my money.
Right.
So now this year, y'all gonna get what y'all deserve. You know, now we shopping at Dollar Tree. You better find something that could last you longer at Dollar Tree instead of spending all your money at Publix. You know the groceries are more expensive.
Expensive at Publix, yeah.
Yeah, you don't go to Publix if you're not gonna make Publix work.
I might as well just go to Walmart or something out of the dollar store. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Exactly. Get your value, you know.
But get players that are proven too. I'm sick and tired. No disrespect, but I know a lot of us love the big name players, and Mr. Park knows what I'm about to say. We get in a lot of flashy names to get back the fans in the stadium, and I'm one of them. I'm a season ticket holder. All of us watch on televisions. It counts as the same thing. Bro, we're sick and tired of having the big name players. I need players that you've never heard of, and you sit there and be like, yo, who is this guy? And then he balls out, and I'm like, okay, you could be a good fit for us. Build the culture. Make me know your name. So you want a contract in the next 3 to 4 years, and we're a winning team, hence the word winning, we'll give you what you need. I don't want to go into free. I kind of do like what we did in free agency. You brought in backup rotational players, depth players, not starters, but depth players. Some. I kind of see the division, but
but you brought in depth players when we need starters.
But the NFL draft, and that's why I feel like
but
I'm not going to jump.
We got 6-7 spots that we need starters in that we just agreed that Chris Greer is maybe going to grab 2 starters, 3 at the most.
But the thing is, he's learned from his mistake. Hopefully, he's learned from his mistakes.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? He's done that. That's why we're accustomed to those 2 to 3. If you can literally get me an extra 2 more and the others are trash, whatever, and we can fill in and substitute that during the season, it only takes a spark. That's the question. And going back to the quarterback, was still limited in that department. Joe Milton is now with another team. I'm sitting here saying, what are we going to do in this year's draft for the quarterback position? That's why I'm like, dude, you better get me my third, because I know Zach is the second, but I need my backup just in case. That story has been very, very depressing to watch. Very.
Yeah, you know, like we all know there's a lot of issues with the team. You know, like I hop on live to hype up the team, you know, highlight the good things that are going on with the team, you know. But sometimes when you talk about the good things a lot, you forget about the bad things.
There's a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot. But we're hoping, you know, that's the key word, hope. Shout out to TD. That's the key word, hope. We're hoping a lot in regards to these players working out, but sometimes you just don't end up working that way because the guy that we have picking the players, we cannot completely trust them to make the right choice in regards to the players that we need on this team.
True.
So, but yeah, man, shout out to Mike Jones. What's good, fellas? Appreciate you for pulling up on me.
What up, Mike?
Shout out to Vamos. Appreciate you for pulling up. Crazy Dolphin said we need dogs and not flashy players. That's most definitely true. Most definitely. But yeah, I got this next question for you guys. So y'all know Kenneth Grant and Mason Graham. Which one would you rather have on this team? Because they're both highly touted prospects. Could be there at number 13 for us. Which one would you guys choose?
I mean, obviously Mason Graham is the better prospect. He's you know what I mean? He's going to go in the top 4 picks probably. But Kenneth Grant, he's the one guy that I think the Miami Dolphins should target. And I think we could probably trade back a little bit from pick 13 and still grab Kenneth Grant. And hopefully we can grab another second round pick with that, and maybe that increases our chances of getting 3 guaranteed starters out this draft. But I think you could trade down to maybe 18, 19, 20, maybe even as far as 23 and still get Kenneth Grant. And he is a athletic freak. He ran a sub 540 at 360 pounds, just a huge human being. He's that real nose tackle, and he's what we need here in Miami.
That's true. But what about you, Ice?
I agree with what you just said, man. And what's the name I can call you, man?
Big C, I go by.
Oh, I got you, Big C, man. IceeMan. So I think I've come by your channel in the past for sure. One time, CD sent it out on his live. So I think it was you and your homie, right, Mike?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. All right. So yeah, I remember you guys very well, man. I think that great show. First off, and
thank you.
Got you, man. I'll send you mine. Well, I don't know if you're on Twitter or whatever, but we'll definitely link up.
Yep.
But dude, I think you just said it. Grant is the way to go. For me, in particular, I'm gonna go a different side. I would like to have a wide receiver. That's just me, though. Why I say that is because I need my tall wide receiver. You got Water and Hill, you got Jonnu, but I need a wide receiver. But Grant is disgusting. I did a little research on him as well, and I think that what he stands out to me is he gives me that Randy Starks vibe. When Randy was with us and you had Paul Soliai, maybe, just maybe, you do draft your Grant. And then maybe in the 3rd or 4th round, like you were talking about, Big C, you draft all that, the draft picks, you accumulate all those picks, and you find the extra guy, the momentum shifter. So who knows, we find 2 defensive tackles in rotation. And then you have Benito Jones at the 3 spot, which I get it. A lot of people don't like Benito Jones, but he also benefited from Calais Campbell, another person that was taught vocally. When things get to worse in the trenches, maybe he steps up as well, teaches these guys from a leadership standpoint, as a veteran role. So I do like that aspect if we can take that approach, though.
Oh, yeah, I most definitely agree with you guys. So basically, I'm hearing Kenneth Grant 2-0.
Yeah, I think that's the move you got to go with.
Okay. So based off what I think from both prospects, I feel like a lot of scouts are higher on Mason Graham than Kenneth Grant. I'm seeing Mason Graham going higher on mock drafts compared to Kenneth Grant. But based off film, I think Kenneth Grant will be a better scheme fit alongside Zach Sealer. I'm not saying Mason Graham is not a good D tackle, but I just feel like Kenneth Grant, based off his athletic traits, Mason Graham, he's not putting that up. Yeah, Big C, your face haunted?
Yeah, something's going on.
Yeah,
he's got.
I can hear that electricity. Yeah,
he's a club, bro.
I'm about to check it out.
But yeah, man. Like I said, I feel like with Kenneth Grant, he would definitely be a good fit. But Mason Graham is there. That might be the guy that the Dolphins won't trade up for. Not trade up, but like trade back. Kenneth Grant, you could trade back for him as well.
Yeah.
But you don't know if he's going to be there. There's certain prospects that could be there at 13 that the Dolphins will be like, we cannot pass up on this guy. There's going to be a lot of prospects there that the Dolphins cannot pass up on. They might just stay at 13 and pick whoever they're going to pick.
I feel like Washington might step in. I don't know why. I have that gut feeling. They've been talking about Jonathan Allen gone, departure from that team. You get this guy too, and that means they're automatic back into the NFC again. championship
Correct.
against the Eagles. I mean, that's one way you can go as well. If Washington does that, though.
I
You
mean,
good?
let me ask you guys this. So at 13, what prospect that would be there that you guys would take with that number 13 overall pick?
Big C, you good over there, man?
Yeah.
All right, man.
Okay.
I was just
Okay.
To me, the only players that you pick at 13 are Membu if he falls. He's just a fantastic talent. He can either play tackle or guard for us for the next 12 to 15 years. He's going to be a dominant offensive lineman. Or Will Johnson. Will Johnson, I feel like, is you can have, there's an argument to be made who's the better corner between him and Travis Hunter.
Mm-hmm.
Travis Hunter's the better
would you
all
throw in
around
Barron?
football player, but
Big C, would you throw in Barron as well? Jahadi Barron from Texas Longhorns?
not. I wouldn't personally.
Okay.
He's a little undersized in my opinion. He has 1 year of playing boundary corner.
Right.
Every other year, he's been more of a nickel, a slot guy, and I think he's better fitted to do that. So
Okay.
a lot of people are high on Jade, but personally, I wouldn't take Jade at 13.
No. I see him as a Vontae Davis. That's why, like you said, the small statue, but he can go up there. The man's got some hops in him. But there has been speculation as well, Big C and DG, that Kato Kohu doesn't want to be on. People don't, and I hear it through all. Shout out to CB, P, all the great shows, and we all discuss about it. Kato Kohu moving off. Should he be a bench player or should we cut him? And you just discussed the nickel slot corner. I mean, that's another aspect, another question mark we need. You got Ramsey, but the corner situation has been. Let's be real, you've never had Byron Jones and Xavier Howard and having Ramsey out there at the same time. That double elite corner, we haven't had that luxury in a very long time since the Patrick Surtain and Sam Madison days. I think Dolphin fans will love to see a young youth corner. Like you said, Big C, Will Johnson. Johnson's a stud player. I think that's a great guy to have. His intangibles, he's very disciplined. That's something that I'm not accustomed to as a fan. To be honest, the one-hand situation breaking down, and you doing two-hand touch like flag football, those days are long gone. I need players that are going to go one-on-one and do your job at a high level. You don't need help from your other players. I expect that. Like I see with the Eagles, hell, even the Patriots growing up as a kid, watching the Patriots do that. That's how winning teams do it in the winning formula. So let's see. I mean, it's going to be crazy draft. I swear, dude. I hope we actually legit let him. Just give me great players. Give me great players.
I mean, the Philadelphia Eagles gave us the blueprint, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's been said year after year after year forever since the beginning of time that you have to build through the trenches. Yeah. And that's the main problem with this team. If you look back at 2023, the Miami Dolphins, when we had a good offensive line, when we had Armstead, when we had Isaiah Wynn, when we had Connor Williams, when we had Robert Hunt, and when we had Austin Jackson, when that was our starting offensive line, Mostert went for 20 touchdowns. Achane had 900 yards in 10 games. We were dominant on the ground. We had the number one offense in all of football. We scored 70 on the Broncos, the Broncos were not a great team that year, but they turned it on later in the year and became better. And now they possibly got the number one defense in all of football. This was just 2 years ago, and then we fell apart at the end of the season because we just had way too many injuries. Our whole offensive line was hurt. The whole offensive line. We didn't have a pass rusher left. Jalen Phillips was out for the year. Van Ginkel was out for the year. Chubb was out for the year. Xavier Howard was out for the year with his foot. Javon Howland had hurt both knees. He was out. Tyreek wasn't the same after he got that horse collar against Tennessee. We just got devastated by injuries. We had a 4 or 5 game lead on the Buffalo Bills with 7 weeks remaining. We lost that. We ended up having to go to Kansas City and play in minus 12-degree weather.
That was crazy too.
2023, we were a legit contender until the injuries hit us. Yep. And I feel like if we can get that offensive line built back up, we could make a push to get back to a number one offense and we had a top 10 defense stats wise last year, and that's without really any pass rush. I mean, Chop didn't really come on till the second half of the season, the last 6-7 games really.
Diamond in the
Phillips has been out, Chubb was been out, so we didn't have a lot. We didn't have a big pass rush. So you add a pass rush to that, you know.
Would you be shocked?
Better safeties.
Big C, would you be shocked if we go outside linebacker in this year's NFL draft in the second round? Would you just be shocked? And same for you, DG. Would you guys just sit there and be like, yo, what?
I'll be sickened.
Yeah.
Because of the injury. You hit me with the injury bug, Big.
I know.
We
have more glaring holes. You can get a pass rusher in free agency. You can go get someone off the streets and get you 5
Von
sacks.
Miller, I know he's old, but hey, Von Miller's still super as a rotational player.
There's multiple people. I know that you can't find guards, and we're seeing right now there's no D tackles. There's none.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, to be honest, I'll be upset if we go with outside linebacker. You know, our edge group is you don't think it's deep, but as of right now, compared to other teams, I think we have an okay room to the point where we don't have to address it with our first round pick. We'll probably have a good player at a position of need at a higher value with that number 13th overall pick. So, you know, unless they really love an outside linebacker or a DN in this draft, I don't think they're going to draft one at number 13. It's either going to be an old lineman, a D tackle, or a cornerback. That's what I believe.
Any of those positions in the first round, I'll be happy with, but they better be ballers. True Miami Dolphin players that literally live up to their hype and also fight for one another. I want to have that brotherhood, that winning. If you want to have a culture, you got to fight for one another. That's something I'm not used to as a Dolphin fan. You want to build that. What Deshaun Elliott said to us last year was the truth, the hardcore truth, and Jordan Brooks backed it up. The Dolphins have no culture and they're soft, and we need to break that curse. We need to break that. We can, like you just said it, Big C. We can actually do it next year. The question is health, and then Mike McDaniel. Oh, that's another topic for another day. Mike McDaniel.
Okay. Let me play this clip for y'all real quick, and I'm gonna ask y'all opinion.
I feel like I said this earlier in an interview like a few. I feel like I said this earlier in an interview like a few weeks ago. I said it's kind of like peanut butter and jelly. Like we work off each other. We both have our own strengths that we use. You know, I know some of his strengths, he knows mine. So, I mean, I feel like it's really easy to play off each other. And plus, with the edge guys we have on the edge, only makes it easier for us to do what we want to do.
You know, this kind of reminds me of the relationship that Christian Wilkins and Zach Sealer had. You know, salt and pepper, peanut butter and jelly. So we got to find that next pepper for that salt that Zach Sealer got. You know, if you could have one person to be that pepper for our salt, who would it be? Like one person, free agent, rookie, it don't matter. Who would it be?
I mean, Kenneth Grant. Kenneth Grant's the answer.
Mm-hmm.
There was someone named Thomas. I was watching a show and someone in the chat said something named Thomas. I gotta do some research in a second. Come back to me.
Okay. But me personally, before Campbell got signed, I would have said Calais Campbell, but since he signed, now it's Kenneth Grant. You know, we're all hesitating right now in regards to us needing the tackle even more. We were on like a standstill because we didn't know what Calais Campbell was going to do. You know, we was waiting all these weeks since the season had ended to see what Calais Campbell would do, and he surprised all of us by going back to the Cardinals instead of coming back to the Dolphins. But hey, that's a bad sign in regards to where this team is at. He had no faith in his team. You know, no discounts no more. No discounts. You know, if we had shown Calais Campbell a reason as to why we will make it to the Super Bowl or AFC Championship game, I think it would have been a different scenario. He would have been like, okay, I'll take a little bit less because I know this team could make it far. Last year, we showed them that we could even win a playoff game or even make it to the playoffs. So that's not going to entice them in regards to staying with the Dolphins.
Listen, there's no way that we should be discussing the money being too much for Calais Campbell. Either he wanted to go to Arizona because he was drafted there and he wants to just end his career there. But we know that Arizona is in no better shape than us to win. And if it was a money thing, shame on the Miami Dolphins.
Mhm.
We gave Zach Wilson $6 million. We can't pay Calais 5.5. You know what I mean?
I don't know, Big
They
C, man.
they overpaid Zach Wilson. You could have
Mhm.
got Mac Jones 2 years, $7 million.
I still don't know why we brought in Zach Wilson, Big C, and DG, but I mean,
Mhm.
that's our GM, right? The greatest,
Like I said,
greatest
but
GM
what I
ever.
told y'all, even at Dollar Tree now, what they got at Dollar Tree? You know, not everything a dollar at Dollar Tree no more. There's $3.50. We went and got that $3.50. We ain't go to Public, you know. So because we don't have the money to go to Publix, but like Big C said, with Calais Campbell, that money should not matter. You seen how important he was to the team on and off the field. You know, that's it. That's invaluable right there. Like we needed him. We really needed him, man. So